our first Tasmanian. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we usually talk US moto and anywhere the conversation goes. But for episode 54, we're going to get back into the woods with four-time World Enduro Champion and ISDE Champion, Matthew Phillips. How are you, man?
Good, yeah. Thanks for having me on your show.
No worries, man. No worries. It's my pleasure, man. My pleasure. It's a cold Saturday here in Victoria, man. So I'm tipping it's probably just a little bit colder in Tassie.
Yeah. We always suffer a bit of a cold season this time of the year, but it is beautiful though. Yeah, for those that don't know, it's it's a good part of the world down here.
It is, man. Yeah, I haven't been there for a long time, but it is a beautiful place, man. Yeah, I went there. We went there on a family holiday when I was a kid, and then also went there on a school holiday, which was pretty flash when you think about it. It was the late '80s, and we flew over to Tassie and then took the boat home for a school holiday. So that must have cost my parents a fair bit, I'd say, especially that was just I just went to like public school, man. But so yeah, the parents must have paid up big for that one, yeah, which was that was pretty cool. I remember me and my mates getting in a fair bit of trouble over there. So, cool, man, cool. Hey, firstly, man, congratulations. So Maddie's got a brand new baby. So we've been trying to we've been trying to schedule a little bit around the being new dad duties, haven't we?
We have, yeah. It's we had a baby girl on the 29th of this month, baby Eden, and both mum and Eden are doing really well. So it's kept me busy with the young fella. He's about 3, so chasing after him, trying to give her a bit of free space.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's you got 2 now. Yeah. So this is the second one.
Yeah, got a little boy, Seth, and Eden's she's the new girl on the block.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Yeah. Similar setup to me, man. Yeah, got the young bloke first. He's 21 now, and then my daughter's 17. So yeah, sort of similar thing, and it's good, man. Yeah, one of each and that sort of thing, and and also it's also kind of cool that having your daughter have a big brother too. That's a pretty special thing too. Once they get older, I reckon you'll find that.
Yeah, for sure. It's nothing. Having kids is pretty life changing. I don't know if you've got many young viewers here, but it's pretty special.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think probably the core of my viewers are people in their 30s, from what I can tell. You never really know. It's hard to know. People I interact with are sort of a lot of people in their sort of 30s. I'm an old bugger. I'm late 40s, but I kind of live young, so I relate to people younger than me pretty well. I try and live young, yeah. And but I don't know. I've got some pretty old listeners too. So I've got some legends, some old boys that like the show, and some of them have been on the show too. So that's cool. That's pretty cool, man. And hey, just a quick shout out to our mutual friend Scrivo for hooking us up. Tim Scriven, who's a Aussie desert racing legend, and he's my local Honda dealer, and he is I think he has one of the oldest continuous Honda dealerships probably in the world, man, because his dad started selling the first little Honda bikes, as well as at that stage he was also selling like refrigerators and all sorts of stuff, and started selling little Honda bikes, and I guess that was the 60s, and they're still selling Hondas. So yeah, and you got to know him when you were riding Hondas as a young fella and that sort of thing. And I think he was telling me he helped you out when you came up here to race. What was it? You came up here to have a go at Hatter or something, or did you come up here to have a race something? Yeah.
He's always been in the background helping out. I think early days he helped us out with Kendall. She was doing all the media stuff.
For us.
Yeah, and she was great, and we got to go up there and check out Tim's museum, which is really impressive. He's got all the army memorabilia and which was something I was really I didn't know at the time that I was interested in, but it was it's
Yeah.
certainly something to behold. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, he's got a pretty impressive collection of old CRs and XRs and all sorts of Honda bikes and an equally as impressive military collection of he still gets out on every Anzac Day. He goes up to a little town just I guess east of us and fires the cannons and all this sort of stuff or sometimes he's got an army duck. You go and drive that across the lake and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, he's
yeah,
a really interesting guy, and he loves the motocross. And I know that he still supports a few guys. So
yeah, he does, man. Yeah. No, he's one of the very big reasons why I got into dirt bikes at all because my family wasn't into dirt bikes. Like my dad bought a bike off Scrivo, and I got to know Scrivo, and my dad and his dad were mates because they were both into car racing. So yeah, known him my whole life, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Cool, man. Cool. Hey, just thought we'd just touch on a little bit about what you've been up to lately, man. So, you're a miner at the moment. You're working in the mines, is that right?
Yeah, I found my feet down at a little town called Rosebery in Tasmania, west coast of Tassie, and we mine lead, zinc, copper, gold, and silver. So it's a pretty big mine. And just recently, I was given the opportunity to start a electrical apprenticeship, a dual trade to do instrumentation as well. So I've gone from mining now to a trade position. So that's really exciting. And my father-in-law, Les, he's a instrument tech and electrician as well. He works offshore, so he's been good just to bounce a few ideas off, because I didn't really pay attention at school too much, so it was a bit of a shock going back. And I think I'm doing all right. I'm getting through. So it's not all too hard after racing. You can still get out there and learn new things.
Yeah, cool, man. So the Sparky work is through the mine company. So you're sort of being a Sparky for the mine company, yeah. So yeah, okay, correct. Yeah, cool. So that's a pretty cool sort of transition there, man. Yeah,
just something different. It was a good opportunity. So it is really hard when you finish racing to envisage what's next. Honestly, I was so lost, and now I've got this to do. I said I'd do it, so I'll continue to do it. I don't know that it's a real passion, but if you say you're going to do it, well, you've signed yourself up, haven't you? So
yeah, man, yeah. And I think a lot of stuff with day job stuff, like you don't have to love your day job. It's great if you do, but you don't have to love it as long as you don't hate it. I got a little construction company. But I always say construction because that makes sense to the US listeners. So yeah, I got a little handyman company, and so I do carpentry, plastering, painting. Everything from sort of renovations through to tiny little fixing one door for a little old lady or whatever, so all that sort of stuff. And I enjoy it, man. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Out and about, I work for myself. I'm doing something different every day and that sort of thing. And I've got a policy. I only work for good people, man, because I'm not a money hungry guy. Like I'm more about enjoying myself. So I don't care how much someone's going to pay me if they're an arsehole. I don't do their job. So I don't mind it. Would I like to be doing podcasting full time and getting paid enough money for that? Oh, hell yeah. That'd be great. But, that's, and who knows, 10 years time, whatever. Yeah, that might happen for me. And that would be wonderful. But yeah, my day job, I don't mind it, man. It's not too bad. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. It's always about the people you work with and the people you deal with. It always, it's a difference in the day. Yeah, for sure.
It is, man. Yeah. And dude, I know one of the times when we were trying to hook up a time to do this show, you were doing a Cape York ride. How was that, man? So I guess for for those that aren't Aussies that are listening, so Cape York is the very tip of the top of Australia. It's the top tip of Queensland, and generally the ride is to go from Cairns to Cape York, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We flew up to Cairns, a group of guys that I work with, and close friends as well, family friends over the years. A small group of us went up, and yeah, like you said, for those that probably don't know, we took the ride from Cairns all the way to the tip, which went out through the Palmer River region. So that's where maybe they've seen the Aussie Gold Hunters show. Maybe that's something they might have seen. So some old gold country and quite remote sort of station country, and then we got out to the coast. Seen some crocodiles and caught some fish, and that was probably the highlight for me because I'm not a fisherman. Found some time to catch a fish, which was a highlight. But yeah, as far as the riding goes, it wasn't a real challenge whatsoever. It was a little bit boring, if I'm honest. And
for yourself, yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. But the guys I was with, they were tired. I was tired as well because I don't get on the bike very often. But yeah, it was a great trip and a bucket list trip for us. So I think it's probably inspired us to start thinking about, maybe our riding here down in the south's a lot better. Maybe we could do something to give the riding experience.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, man, yeah, you could. Like, you could do an awesome version of that where you go into the very south tip of Tasmania or something, So instead of going to the north tip, you go to the south tip and that sort of thing. And yeah, man, because the riding in Tassie is gonna be heaps better than the riding up in the Cape, man. Yeah, for sure. For those that like a bit of a challenge, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you cater for everybody because it would be particularly tough in the middle of winter or a wet day down here for sure.
Yeah. I know I've been on a lot of different things like that before, and I've helped run things like that before, and the varied skill levels in any given group is there's such a variance, man. Like I've been on trail rides where I'm one of the fast guys, and I've been on trail rides where I am like by miles the slowest guy, and it just depends on it's such a wild variance, one group of guys to the next. But I know some of those things, the old chicken run's always the backup plan. Chicken run is always the thing, the shortcuts for the tired guys, the chicken runs for the, that always seems to work well, but it kind of makes a big ride a lot more work for the organisers though, because you're like not just planning one loop, you're planning all these extra things, and then you got to have another sweet rider to take the tired guys on the chicken run and all that sort of thing. So
like it's as well as I do, you can lose half an hour, 45 minutes on a hill, an hour on a hill, and unfortunately here it's hill after hill. So it's achievable, but it takes some real planning.
It's a tough job there, you can. You got to have a pretty dedicated bunch of sweep riders, man, that don't mind waiting a long time and that sort of thing. Like, I remember we did I went on one that springs to mind. We had it was a Kawasaki ride, and I was just a dude. For my ride, man, I'm just like a hack C grader my whole life. Like, that shows how much I love riding. The fact that I'm 48. And I've never been better than a C grader. So that shows that I really love it, because I keep doing it, even though I suck. But I guess I'm off road. I'm like the little engine that could, man. Like I don't need help. I'll get up everything. I'll get down everything, but nothing's ever fast, So I'm sort of a reliable tail sweep sort of guy. Tail sweep's like my slot, And we were on a ride there once, this Kawasaki ride, and it was when Jay Marmite was riding. So that's like the pointy end. He was riding for the Kawasaki national team, and then we had some dudes who had just bought their like a KLX 250, and were just having that first trial ride. So there was like an hour and a half difference in the field, within a short time, and So it's tough. But, man, in the end, everyone's smiling and having a good time. The guys that were struggling up the back just had the time of their life. The fast guys that were having fun on their weekend off didn't really care about waiting. And, yeah, it's a good thing. And like you were saying about Cape York, man, like, even though the riding wasn't challenging for you, I bet it was cool, man, being the fact that you were doing that with your mates. That's what made it cool, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a good holiday for sure.
Yeah, man, that's the camaraderie of just riding along with your mates and that sort of thing. It's always makes it very cool, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. And man, I would like to do a ride with Jay Marmont too, because he's a bit of a fun guy off the bike for sure.
Yeah. Well, I remember that day, man. Like, I never seen him.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't think I was officially a sweep rider, but I'm just sort of one of them guys. I knew the guy that was running it, and I just end up just helping out, doing stuff. That's sort of what I'm like. And yeah, there was Marmont, Troy Carroll, and whoever else was on. I think Billy. No, not Billy McKenzie. There was another. Yeah, whoever was on the team at that time. They were sort of out the front, and a few local sort of crazy Vic Pro Enduro guys and that sort of thing were out the front. Chucky was probably there. Oh no, Chucky had moved from the Cowies by then. He was into the KTMs, but yeah, there was a few guys those sort of guys were there, and then there was different groups, man. And I think I was sort of helping out with like the mid pace group. I didn't get stuck with the beginners group, so yeah, very cool, man. Very cool. It was and it was a pub ride, which makes it even cooler, man. A pub ride's always good, eh? I don't know.
It's always a good ride.
I wonder if that's a thing. What if that's a thing? American listeners, hit me up and let me know if pub ride makes any sense to you. Because that's a very Aussie thing, isn't it, man? A bunch of guys, and you go through the bush, and then in the high country areas of Australia, New South and Tassie, there's always a pub somewhere that's really close to the bush, and you literally like pop out of a single track, and you're up the road, and the next minute you're at a pub, and there'll be a heap of dirty bikes and dirty blokes sitting in a beer garden, having a pub feed and sneaking in a couple of beers for lunch, and then you ride back to where you started. So that's a real Aussie tradition there. Yeah, cool, man. Hey, so let's get into Matty Phillips' career, man. So the first thing I always like to ask about, man, is my favourite question of the show. Every show is, when did the bug bite, man? Tell me about that first mini bike.
My first mini bike was a Z50, little Honda Z50, and it was 1998, I think. I must have been about 5 years old. We got the first bike, and basically from the moment it started, it never turned off. I was really fortunate. We just had a few acres, so I just come home from school and ride, and my next door neighbour, he had a bike, so that we'd hang out, we'd go for a ride, we'd go and we'd go riding where we're not supposed to be riding, and we're just hanging out being kids, but our mode of transport was bikes. So, we got the bug, and like to go and push the limits together, which was really good.
Yeah. So did Dad buy the Z50 and just like bring it home, or were you like, asking for a bike, or?
Oh, I think I'd ridden a bike from some friends, and it was the coolest thing ever. As a kid, It was like all the other kids in the neighbourhood had bikes, and we didn't have a bike. And then, it was under the Christmas tree. So
nice, under the Christmas tree.
Yeah. And that was a common theme for a lot of my childhood years. Was the next size bike was under the Christmas tree, because you couldn't afford just to have a new bike. So So it was
cool, man. Yeah, I love the under the Christmas tree stories. That's the best, man. And it's such a cool thing, man. So awesome. And do you remember the first crash on the Z50?
Not the first crash, but I remember my sister had run over me. We must have had like a big red four wheeler, like a 300 four wheeler, and
Yeah.
she was hooning about on that, and I was hooning about on the little 50, and she must have been bored, so she just ran over me.
Gee, that's harsh, man. It's harsh.
Yeah, that's just part of growing up, isn't it?
It's a good story though, man. All those things end up being good stories, man. Yeah. So, dude, what was the Tassie? You know, where? So, firstly, what part of Tassie are you in, and what was the scene like? What was the junior scene around your area? Was there, some clubs and tracks and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we live up on the northwest coast, so not a big population, but it's all farming community and sort of industry. And when I was coming up, everybody had motorbikes. It was it was just like football on the weekend. Everyone went racing, and there was like black clubs, like non-affiliated clubs that did enduro, and we always raced enduro, and then got a little bit older, branched off into a bit of motocross as well. So I think we raced like every weekend forever, as long as I can remember, and we went away as a family and enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, mum and dad got stuck right into it. Then they bought right into the mini moto scene. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Pop, he was a motorbike rider. He went from when they moved down to Tassie, he did like from the most south point to Cape York, as a ride. So he was right into his riding.
Yeah.
And Dad was a bit of an enduro guy. He, state champion enduro. He would
Yep.
like that if I mentioned that. And
yeah, cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, and he's actually he was a really good good rider, good technique, and he was sort of pushed me to keep. Obviously, I was pretty quick anyway because you're just like farm kids. You've got a lot of hours under the belt, so we're pretty quick anyway. But he kept all the bikes up to us, and him and Mum worked 2 jobs each, and we just went racing. So I think that's a pretty common theme. You can't do it without a lot of work. So Mum and Dad were right behind it. So that was it. That was from when I was racing motocross. I must have been about 12. Started hitting my straps. I was a big kid. Got on the 250 early, and never looked back really.
Yeah. So does Tassie have like do they have any separate regions, or is it just a state? Like how Vic has like 3 regions for junior moto. Did you have like a north, south, east, west, or something like that, or just Tassie?
When we grew up, there was a bit of a rivalry, because there was so many people racing at the time. So you the guys from the south and the north, basically.
Okay,
and there was a bit of rivalry. Everyone wanted. It was a bit of a surprise when they turned up. They might have, I don't know, some new bling on the bike and feeling good. So it was good. Kept it interesting, and it was pretty fierce competition. There was some really good riders. North and south.
Yeah, cool. What was the big track in Tassie where you would hold a the state rounds and that sort of thing? What were the big tracks?
We had 5 big motocross tracks.
Yeah.
Smithton, they held nationals. Penguin held nationals.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So they were really national tracks. And then down south there was not Cambridge. We had Oatlands. St Helens on the east coast, which is a beautiful place, and Bridport on the east coast as well. So all those tracks are still there and still holding plenty of events. So
yeah. It's just a shame, man. It's just that damn cost of that damn boat that stuffs up you guys from getting nationals and things like that, man. Yeah. Because
and it's
just that
super expensive for
just the bloody cost of that boat, man. That's it. Yeah, there's no way around it, man. There's just no way around that. That cost of getting over there. Yeah, it's it's a bugger of a thing. Yeah, because good tracks and good terrain and good riders, man. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and it's good for the kids too when the races. The nationals come here and the locals get to see it. It gets everyone a bit excited, and it steers people in a positive direction for sure. They get to see it and go and inspire a bit of a dream or or something like that. So it would be really good to see it come back.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm just trying, as we're talking, I'm just thinking, who's the fastest ever guys from Tassie? Obviously, yeah, I think of you and yourself and Jed. Who else, man? I'm probably missing people for sure. Who else?
There's been a lot of guys come
cast from Tassie. Yeah.
Well, obviously we had Ross first. He was
Yeah,
Jed's
Ross.
brother.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, big bro.
Yeah, big bro. And when I was growing up, there was guys like Mitch Newman and Brodie Jennings. He was, and before that, maybe the Coates brothers.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I think they rode maybe Kawasaki's early days and Van Manenberg's. I think, like every 10 years, there's sort of like a group that rolls through that's really good. And yeah, when I was growing up, there was Joel Bellchambers and Mitch Newman, and there was a bunch of guys that were, they were already 20 to 25 when I was 15, so I was able to sort of just put the hook into them and try and gauge myself off what they were doing. And so I've probably got a lot to thank them for, really, because their effort sort of dragged us through, and no doubt we probably dragged the next guys through. So
yeah, cool, man, cool. So dude, tell us a bit about going to represent Australia, man. So how did you sort of build up to that and that come about, and representing Australia in France for junior moto?
Yeah, that was cool. That was on a 125, and I never got to race the 125 at home because I was a big kid, so you just got the 250, and that's the way you went. But I think the year before we raced, I got a spot on the team to race in New Zealand for the World Motocross Championship, the Junior Championship, and then managed to get the call up for the next year, which was really cool. So, as your listeners will know, there was two brothers on the team. There was Jet and Hunter. They were both on the team that year. Absolute guns, and their old man's a real dag. Like he's great. And Mitch Evans was on the team.
Yeah.
Who's also he's done really well. I think it was Errol Wheeler, so he's local. He's Victorian. He went really well, and I want to say Dakota Cole, I think was his name, and he had a bad crash, and sort of his week was sort of over. And I want to say Scott Mann. I don't know if he kept racing or not, but
I can't remember. I can't remember him. Yeah.
But certainly, Jet and Hunter went off to do.
To
do pretty well.
Was that the year that Jet won the 65?
It is. Yeah.
It's a pretty famous photo that gets shared around a lot of the little bloke there on the podium. Yeah, and he looks exactly the same. His face looks exactly the same as it does now. That same grin on his face.
And it was later on. I was racing the World Championship when I went over there with Husky in the Enduro World Championship. I met up with a guy, and he was really friendly, and he had a real smug look on his face. And eventually, after a couple of rounds, he came up to me and said, "Do you remember this race at France for the motocross?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, we were hitting each other on the track, and I can still remember it was on the last lap. We were just like, it was clean, but it was as hard as you could, it was just shoulder to shoulder." And he ended up getting the better of me over the line. David Chucci was his name, Italian guy on the Italian team, and so that was cool to sort of spark it up again. I went and stayed at his house and trained with him. So it all comes back around, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a small world, man. Like moto. Moto's a small world. It amazes me all the time, just things, whether it's just having these conversations on the show or doing research for things, or researching things for writing articles, all that sort of stuff, and you just think, like, you just go, fucking well, I didn't remember that he was there, and now he's doing this, and what sort of thing, and all this. It all links up. It's a small world, man, especially the ones that stick around for a long career. Everyone sort of knows everyone and that sort of thing. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah, pretty cool.
It is good. Yeah. And racing is so cool. Like we were there banging bars, and then like at the end of the race, you didn't know whether to whether you had a grudge or what was going on. We both put our hand out and had a big smile, and that translated into something, maybe 10 years later we caught up there, and
yeah,
that's cool. You share some pretty good moments out there. It's not just your own moments; you're sharing it with other people too. So
yeah, cool, man, cool. Okay, dude, let's get into the transition to off road, man. Let's get into that, man. So. I know a little bit of the story, that I think you GB got his eyes on you or something like that, and give you a ride in that. But yeah, tell us the story, the transition from moto to off road.
I think the nuts and bolts of it is we were racing the under-19s championship, which is now the MX3 class.
Yeah,
and it was a stacked field in that year. Ken Ross Beaton, Harley Quinlan, Luke Stye. Maybe Luke was up, I think, already. Josh Keisha, Hamish Dobbin, all these Kiwi guys. It was just like a great introduction to senior motocross to be in that class. It was stacked, and we were trying really hard and sniffing around the podium. Having a good season. But the other older guys were already a bit more established, a bit just a little bit better. We're riding basically a stock Honda 250. So for those that know, they're not whole shot getters every time. The stock Honda, but great machine though. Yeah. So we're battling there. We're doing really well. Not quite well enough to be a factory ride. Just on the cusp there.
Yeah.
And it was all funded by mum and dad, of course, and we had a lot of help from people willing to help. Some help there, from a little bit of help from Honda, and it was just it was a trying. It was all the effort was going out, money's going out, and Dad said, "Okay, let's go and do I've got my license," and we went and done the Australian 4-day enduro.
Yeah, where was that year?
It was up near Bathurst.
Okay, yep.
Maybe Orange.
Yep.
Went up there and held my own. Yeah, did really well there, and had a great week. Had a great week up there, and I think a few people were opened a few eyes. Won the final moto, so it's the only time that you're really visible for the week. So everyone's standing around and watches you, put on a ride. So that was good and positive. And then we went and raced the Wildwood Rock Challenge down there in Victoria, and won the race, but got penalised. So it was a second spot for the day.
Was that the first? That would have been the very first Wildwood.
That's right. Yeah? I think it was.
That's the one. So Mitch Harper. Yeah, so Mitch Harper won it. Yeah.
Yeah. He got
after he got penalised. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yep.
So that was what was that? 2010, I think. So I think amongst that we might have tried Hadauer out as well. So there was a lot of racing going on, and and we were starting to think, we need to make it happen because we're putting in a lot of effort. I need to get that factory ride and ease the burden on everybody, because it is, it's a big commitment, and honestly, it wasn't going to happen in motocross. We're going to have to go back and maybe even step up to a 450 just to have enough power, without spending too much. Too much money. I mean, you always spend a lot of money, but in the 250
you were sort
class,
of on that cusp. You were sort of on that cusp where you sort of, what would you say? You were like, sort of running fifths and stuff like that. Were you just outside where you're going to get a factory ride in Australia? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All them guys were going to go up to the lights class the next year, you're honest with yourself and say, look, it's not going to come together. You didn't have your Eve coming ringing up on the Monday going, come on, we're going to sort something out. It wasn't happening. So that's where it probably took the turn. Made a couple of good results there on the enduro front. They offered me a ride, so basically I had to take it, and as it worked out, it was for the better.
So that was with GB. That was with Yamaha. Yeah,
that was with Jeff. Yeah, so there was we had a huge team the first year. I don't know, there was 7 or 8 riders on the team, so it was Jeff put in a lot of effort there in those years. So we've come through at a really good time, I think.
Yeah, that would have been like prime time for. So I keep saying GB. So for SA, all the Aussies know who GB is. For American listeners and listeners from other countries, that's Jeff Ballard, who is like he's honestly he's right up there in our, with yourself and with Toby and that sort of thing, as our biggest off-road legends. Yeah. And I guess one thing of note for the US listeners, he actually rode the 6 days for Team United States one year. So there you go. So he did that. He donned the old what are they? The skunk helmet for Team USA there one year, and he raced GNCCs for quite a while. And he was at one stage he was John Martin's teammate, that's John Martin from Millville. Alex and Jeremy's dad, him and GB were teammates for Team Can-Am in the GNCCs in the sort of mid '80s, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of stories of GB. Actually, I'd love to talk to GB one day. I've got to try and get hold of him. Yeah, and yeah, so what a guy to start, to get onto his team for a start, and that was a big team, man. Like a lot of experience around you.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, we're so lucky to get the opportunity there. In that period as well, you had Stefan Marion riding for the team. He's a 5-time world enduro champion.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from Stefan. And he was a bit of a. He didn't say too much, but what he had to say was, it was really good. So he was a good guy, and Jeff was. He was a wealth of knowledge, and all his friends around, old Laurie Alderton and all these guys that were about. It made for some, a couple of years with those guys was a couple of the most not so much fun years, but it was definitely a couple of years of big growth and good relationships. They were just there to help, and they didn't want anything other than to see you do well. They were just good people. So really lucky.
Yeah, cool. Who else was on the team that year? Like, that would have been like Bo Ralston. Jess Gardner.
There was definitely Jess. There was Ben Burrell.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. Josh Ballard.
Oh yeah, Josh was still riding. Yep.
Yep. We had Stefan Gronquist and Emily.
Oh yeah, yes,
on board. Chris Hollis. Chris Hollis was the sort of the lead rider when I got on the team.
Yep.
And Stefan.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
So that's a lot of logistics. That's a lot of people.
A lot of people, man, and there's a lot of titles and a lot of good results in that little group there, man. Yeah, it was a real heyday of that Ballard's team, man. Yeah, she was a big concern at that stage, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it was good, and like good people around as well. Chris Hollis and Stefan as teammates. Both Stefans, really good people.
Yeah.
And then I think the next year was Milner come on board the team, and he had a lot of success too. I kind of felt like I got robbed a bit at the time. I always had to ride the, let's say, the bad bike. If you'll hear me, I had the first year I rode a 475 YZ 450 with a big bore kit on it.
Okay, yeah.
And I turned up at the team photo shoot, and I'd done all this riding, and I thought I was, pretty slippery. And we got there, and they had all the fastest lap time, and everything was up on the board. As GB, and that a wonderful shed full of memorabilia and cool trinkets and things. And there was just Chris Hollis's fastest lap time, and I thought, righto, that's the time to beat. The track was beaten up, but jumped on the 450 and ran. Let's just say I ran close. I don't know whether I beat him or not, but I was feeling really good and up to speed with everything, and pretty confident. And they reeled out this bike and said, "Oh, this is the bike you got to ride." And this was, wow, it's all fantastic. It's got all the stickers on it and looking good. And I went out there for the first lap and I said, oh, geez, I can't ride this thing. It was just, it had really a lot of inertia, and it made, I think, close to, I say, 70 horsepower. It was enormous. Like, there's nowhere to use that much power.
Just an animal, yeah.
A real animal. And I come back and I said, no, I can't ride this. I'll have to ride the 450 so I can, because in my head I need to win, like every rider. And they just sort of smiled and said, no, this is what you'll be riding, junior. So. The first year, and some days, you could go really fast on that bike. It was if you had a straight, you could see a poor old Husky 310 in the distance and just click it up 2 gears and you were past him. It was, if you could hang on to it, it was good. But then the next year we had like it was like a WR 450, like a straight up and down engine with a fuel injection. It was a brilliant motor. One of the best motors, but for some reason it would just spit you off at it without a moment's notice. So me and Stefan, we went to work and tried with that bike, and we just couldn't make it work. And I was super frustrated, and that's how the move to overseas come about, because all I wanted to do was I was just so just wanted to win something or do something and couldn't make it happen. Paul Feeney said to me about it, and he made it happen. He was the importer at the time, and
for Husky.
Yeah. The red and white Huskies, and he was brilliant. He was another. I got so lucky. I met through GB and then Paul Feeney. It's all these good guys along the way that made it happen. So he made it happen. He actually booked all. He got Emily. It was the lady there. She booked all my flights and everything for the first round in Chile or Argentina, and I hadn't done any homework. I didn't even know who the team boss was. I'd never spoke to him, and they shipped me off overseas, and that's how thanks to Paul, got that ball rolling and got me foot overseas. So it all happens pretty quick.
Yeah. What was the bike like then? Like I at the time, they seemed like a good bike, but I've heard so many things about people. Oh, those Huskies with the redhead Huskies, they got nicknamed because they had a red valve cover. Those redhead Huskies were shit and all that, like it. But they got pretty good results back in the day. Like for a guy that won a world championship on one. Like what were they really like?
They were awesome. Yeah, they were they were slow, soft. The frame was soft. You go to tip into a rut and the rear wheel would come on the inside. They'd do like little in swingers because the frame was soft. But but they were there spending money and they wanted to race and they wanted to win. So it was cool. It was a really good thing to be part of, because it wasn't doom and gloom there. It was like, if something broke, it's all right. We'll just make it better and stronger. And the bike I had raced in Australia with Paul Feeney. We raced a 4-day in WA, and they built me a bike.
Yeah.
Joel, he's a Tasmanian guy. He was the mechanic. Him and Viv Martin, and they built me an absolute rocket ship. It was just an awesome bike. It was like, if I could have had that bike in the World Championship, I think it would have been a huge step forward. It's just a really good bike. Had heaps of power. You could pull a wheelie out of the corner and just done everything right. It was good. So, the bike we raced overseas was like standard, good suspension, and go. Yeah. So
the bike wasn't awesome, but the team was really good. Is that's sort of the vibe I'm getting? The team was really good, and they sort of made things work. Yeah.
Yeah, the team overseas. Yeah, in Italy, the team was really good, and I never had a good bike because I was just like an add-on to the team. It was sort of, until my results got really good. I was just like almost like a pay rider. You pay to ride. And then when the results were good, I was part of the team. So to speak. You had to earn your spot, even though you had the contract. You still had to earn your spot on the team, and those guys they were good to me through them years. Yeah, and then later on, I went to ride with them again with Sherco.
Oh, was that the same team? Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
same team. Yeah, that's probably why I ended up back there. Yeah.
Cool. So that first World Championship year, so that was Enduro Junior, EJ Enduro Junior, yeah,
Yeah.
on the Husky, man. What year was that? That was I've got it written down.
2013.
2013. Yeah, cool. And then so 14, you went straight back up to what E2 on the 310.
E3 went up to the big 300 two-stroke because KTM had brought out Husky, and nobody had a ride.
That was
And
the changeover of
mm,
Husky and Huzzaberg and all that sort of thing. Yeah. Huzzaberg merged with Husqvarna and KTM took over Husqvarna, and yeah, that was all the
KTM just brought up Husky and then they shut down the factory there in Italy, and everything was made in house at KTM. So it was a white KTM basically.
Yeah. Cool. So you're on the 300 two-stroke then. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then so how did 2014 go? Your first year in the seniors.
Yeah, it was good. Riding with the factory KTM, it was a bit of a change of scenery as well. They were pretty probably a bit more organised, a bit more serious. As far as teams go, really professional, and they expected a bit. They weren't afraid to tell you to go to the gym or they expected their bit, which was good for me.
Same team manager? Was it the same Italian guy, the team manager, or did that?
No. I rode for Fabio Farioli is his name. So they at one point, I think they may have owned KTM when it went bust early years.
Yeah.
So they've got pretty deep roots there in KTM, and he was a great guy. He was pretty savvy business people as well. So they looked after us really well. 14 went really well. I had some good company there in the truck. It was Antoine Mayo was the teammate, Christophe Nambertine, Cristobal Guerrero, and my main rival was Ivan Cervantes, and we were under the same tent together. So So like a lot of the time you're sort of not in awe, but you're pretty proud to be sharing the tent with those guys, and then going out there and earning their respect too.
Yeah. So how was that? So obviously, you win the title in 14. Was that a close fight?
Yeah, come down right to the end, and I broke my foot 6 weeks before the last round. I DNF'd one race. I broke my foot, so we spent 3 weeks in hospital, and then come out and a couple of weeks in the hyperbaric chamber trying to get rid of the infection, and made the last round. And sometimes just things fall your way. We met some people. She was actually a really good plastic surgeon from Milan, like the high end lady, and her husband. He was Manuel. He was a good surgeon as well. So they were like my. They come to the last round as like private doctors, signed all the paperwork, and then give me some. Got me all juiced up for the race. So got through the race. Hadn't done anything for 6 weeks, and went through the race with flying colours. So think sometimes you meet people and things go your way. So that was just one of those times that it all come together.
Yeah, cool. Nice.
You're over there by yourself, so you're sort of a bit. You don't know anybody. You can't just you can't make that stuff happen. So it was just lucky.
Cool, man. Do you have a favourite championship, man?
I like that one.
Yeah, I thought that one might have been it. That's why I'm asking it now. Yeah. The first senior one, yeah. Yeah,
and we had a really good, a big year. Like I wasn't really on the pace at the start, and then broke the camel's back during the season, and I started breaking Cervantes down, and it was going to be his last championship to win, and I didn't want him to have it. That's just the racer in me, and he was good about it. he's a real champion. He was a champion guy, and didn't go his way, and he was great. You know, the first guy to come and give you a hug after the race, even though you just robbed him of some points or some money or whatever. He taught me a lot, really, racing a guy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man.
He was big picture stuff. You know, he wasn't worried about, he was just happy to be there and be a big champion, and it was cool.
Cool. Nice. And then 2015, how did that year go? I'm not sure. I'm up with your championship years, you know. And 2015, what was that like?
Well, it was another good year. We finished second in the World Championship.
Who was it, and second to who?
Matthias Bellino, French guy.
Yep.
And we had a fierce fight, and we didn't get along really like a house on fire, but no bad blood. It was just, man, I didn't want him to beat me, and I'm sure he felt the same. So it was a tough year, and we battled on with the bike. I struggled a little bit always with the KTM with that PDS rear. You didn't have that any mechanical advantage. So when you had trouble with the shock, the bike was playing up, and it was just sometimes it got the better of me. But ultimately just got beaten. He was just better. So
cool. It was a good year.
Yeah, second place in the World Championship's not bad.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. And then also, in 15, man, you also on the Aussie 6 days team that won. So
that's right.
You missed the World Championship. You got second in the World Championship, but pretty handy consolation prize to be on that winning Aussie 6 days team, man.
Yeah, and always look forward to the ISDEs, and I'd really like to see myself at the next one in Italy. That'd be, I don't know how that works, whether I can try and score a part of helping the team, or whether I put the joggers on and try and just apply and get a spot. I don't know.
Yeah, get into it, man.
I don't know how it works, but I'd love to be there, and catch up with all my friends there in Italy, and because I do miss it. I miss that. I miss those guys. I miss the high level racing. I don't miss just the local stuff or whatever. I don't. It doesn't spark any interest for me. But certainly the World Championship stuff, it's got me. Just dream about it a little bit still. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that was that the first time the Aussies, the Aussie trophy team won.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could be wrong. It's Either way, pretty special. So who else was on? So that would have been you and Toby.
15.
Yeah, you and Toby. Who else?
Would Toby have been there 15?
I think so.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Milner and Chucky would have been there, and Strangy.
Yeah, I think. Now I reckon 15. I reckon Chucky might have still been on the junior team, maybe. Yeah, so it might have been Milner, Strang, Toby, and you. Maybe that'd be my guess. But anyway, yeah, that's all right.
Oh, it'd be a good team.
I'll look it up afterwards. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. And it was cool, man. And were you on the team? Were you on the 6 days team, man, where they really won and the French sort of got away with the penalty and that controversial year? Were you on that team?
Yeah. That was real difficult for me because all the boys are up on the podium, and they're making a mockery of it all, and these are guys that I race every weekend, so I can't show any disrespect. And all the officials there, guess what? I race with them every weekend, so they're French, So
that was 16. That was the year after we won, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
so that was a tough one for me. I really didn't enjoy all that. It was just like Catherine and I spoke about it. My wife last week, we spoke about it. We'll just we don't talk much about what's happened previously, but somehow that came up. Maybe talking about the ISDE next year, and yeah, it was just like, oh man, that was a bummer. That was a
Yeah,
bummer to
I
because
remember
because
that.
it, cause it was on. It was like shitting on me as well. It was just like,
Yeah, yeah. No, that was pretty uncool at the time, man. Yeah, that was yeah, very uncool, man. Yeah, remember
yeah, it was a
hearing all about that. Yeah, because I mean, we really it's one of them things like the FIM rules, man. Like they're very black and white, man. Like they don't go into the grey area. Like they're very
no,
black and white. And
and you
then
have to remember that they're the guys. Like I said, we're racing them every weekend.
yeah,
They're the officials every weekend. They're French. Their team's French.
mm.
They make the rules. Like
And
if
they
if they
delved into the
if
grey area for the French team to win in the French ISDE. Like
yeah,
it
but
was
if
just
the Aussies had been more involved in the normal racing thing, that and the Americans too, they would have held a bit more. It would never have happened because
yeah,
they were running their own show on home turf, and probably a few officials that don't normally officiate in anything just
mm,
wanted to be the one to make it happen. They made it happen, and
yeah.
unfortunately for everyone else, that uh, probably wasn't the correct decision.
No, it wasn't, man. It wasn't.
No,
That's for sure. Yeah, man. And then so into 16. So 16 Sherco. So you're back with the guys from the Husky team.
yeah, back with Fabrizio and Maro the mechanic.
Yeah.
Um, that was a big year, yeah, for sure. We started off on the 450 Sherco
Mm.
because they had high hopes for that, and I'd ridden it at home and sort of thought, oh, we might be in a bit of trouble here, but okay. We went over there and we tried. Must have been over there early because we tried for about 3 or 4 months. We were just working tirelessly trying to make this thing uh, a competitive bike
Mm.
because they wanted to make an investment, obviously, and I wanted to win because I'd finished second the year before, so it was time to win again.
Yeah.
And we couldn't make it happen with the 450, and the week before the first round in Morocco, we went and met up with Jordan in France. He's like the test guy, and he
Yeah.
unloaded. We were riding with a 450. I rode his 450. He rode my 450. He hated my setup. I liked mine more than his, and we were sort of like, oh well, we're bumping heads here a bit. And they rolled a 300 Sherco out of the back of the van, a 4-stroke, and we rode it around a little grass field, bumpy grass field, and straight away I knew that it was 10 times better. At least I could turn the bloody thing.
Yeah.
And the guys were happy to see me having fun. I was riding around flat out, and the decision was made then, and they're just me and the mechanic, Mara, said, righto, this is what we're taking to the first round.
Yeah.
A week later, we were down in Morocco with this quite standard 300, and we won the weekend. So
Yeah.
that kicked it off. There was a real change, a pivotal moment of the season.
Yeah.
We'd raced a couple of Italian rounds on the big bike early on, and really suffered. It wasn't through lack of trying; it was just that we couldn't come to any sort of speed or result. But I fell in love with that little bike. That was a great machine, and 110 kilo guy on a 300 4-stroke. There was a few breakages along the way, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like you like that. That sort of mid-capacity bike really suits you, though. By the sounds of it, you had a lot of success on that bikes of that size. Yeah.
Yeah, I like a bike that makes power early, and I like a small bike. So it's a hard combination to have both. But
Yeah.
that's what I liked. I liked the sort of rapid feel and something small and something hardy as well. So it was a good bike. And they give us some good suspension for it. They brought all the 52 mil forks and made a real effort there. We had a great year. First championship for Sherco and a big one as well. We took down the big guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you were E2 champion and overall champion.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty. The overall one, man. It's funny in the World Enduro Championship. It doesn't always it doesn't always get the I guess it should be celebrated a bit more, that overall championship. Like there's a lot of focus on the class champions, isn't there? And that overall one it's a huge thing. It's a bit of an enduro thing, isn't it? It's same even in the 6 days. Sometimes they barely report on who's winning overall, but they report all about who's winning the classes. It's a strange thing. Whereas that overall thing it's a huge thing to win overall. So yeah.
Yeah, I think they manage it well. From a rider's point, the overall thing's great because you love to be the guy.
Yeah.
But from a marketing point and like the continuity of the sport, like they need to really focus on the class, because then it's 10 riders per class that potentially getting paid to be there, rather than 10 guys.
It makes perfect sense what you're saying, man. Yeah.
And I'm really conscious of that, and I always tried to push that idea forward with the ARC, and it was just like it was going on deaf ears. And one of the issues was like Yamaha doesn't do an E3 bike, so they're not interested in, like that's the thing. That I guess they've got a budget to run to, but I think that E1, E2, E3 thing's really good.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've learnt something. I never thought of it like that until you're just saying it. Yeah. They can throw, if with the focus on the classes, if they get third in a class, they can whack a big ad in ADB, and that sort of thing.
That's
whereas if the classes weren't focused on as much, well, then that guy that got third in E1, he might have been 8th overall, and then it's not really something you're going to take a double page ad out for. That really makes sense, man. That's cool.
Yeah, and then it gives us a bit more to be interested in too. Like, who's this guy? What's he doing? Oh, he's won that. Like, he's the new guy on the small bore, or he's the big bore guy. Which I think we could do better. I know that Yamaha. Like, I had dinner with Kyron last night, young Kyron Bacon.
Oh yeah.
He's a mate of mine, and caught up with him and Ellie, and it's sort of. We're talking about he's talking about going to Europe and some of his plans. But like he was talking about his structure, and really at the moment, like if you're not riding a Yamaha, you're probably not making enough money in Australia. It's just it's tough. Yeah, it is tough. I'd love to see it. Like when I started racing, everybody was doing well. You had a good weekend, you do well. Didn't matter what kind of bike you were riding, and I just don't think that's there, and it needs to be there because. We can all go to work and make, if you're chasing bucks, you can go out there and work and make it happen. But you're not risking your neck like these guys do.
Yeah.
You're not riding around with a cracked forearm and turning up on the race weekend. Just putting up with the pain. And these guys do. I know I did a good job. There's times out there when you really earn it, and the risk is there. There's so much risk, and just be great to see a few more people step up, and one way could be that E1, E2, E3 and scrap the overall. But I don't know what that looks like, and some people might knock me for saying it, so but which I don't mind. I don't care.
Yeah. No, you've changed my mind. You've changed my mind a little bit for what it's worth, man. So
you got to be there for the riders, and the team's got to have a bit of value. If you and I start up a team tomorrow and we get some young guy, well. A third place for us might be pretty bloody special, on a weekend, and at the moment, no one's given us credit for it. So maybe we can, I don't know. I don't know how it looks, but it'd be nice to see.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. It's just the size of the off-road sport in Australia, I guess, isn't it? It's a tough thing. It's so fucking cool, man, but it's so hard to market, and it's so hard to have video footage, like, and that sort of thing. Like, even look in America, like, watching GNCCs and stuff, man, is awesome. Like, I love it. But you only get to see snapshots of it, like, imagine if you could have an Aussie, if there an Aussie 3 hour, and you had had drone cameras following it. Like how awesome that would be, man. Seeing,
Be
you know,
great.
and had a commentator and it had a full TV set up with drone cameras and all that. Like, but it's just just the money's not there. You know, it would be
No.
it's an awesome thing to watch and that sort of thing. It's just very, very hard to market when they're racing through the trees, man. You know, compared to setting up cameras around a motocross track is so much easier, man. So that's why it's
Yeah,
always going to be an advantage there. Yeah.
I mean, these guys do a good job. The AORC. Back to talking about them again, but
Yeah.
they do a really good job anyway. Like they do their best. They do a good job, but mate, I think that the style of tracks and I never really liked them that much. And
Yeah.
and like you said, they fly past. They're like you're going so fast through the trees
Yeah.
in this championship, and maybe if they slowed it down, made it harder, not harder, but just threw in a few more obstacles and a few more
Yeah.
specky. And it's easy to say that too because I'm not out building tracks helping out.
Yeah.
Either, so
Property availability is the hardest thing, man, for it. I've had a little bit to do with Vic off road, events and that sort of thing, or fair bit to do with a couple of them, and that's all sort of the same. And it's the availability of property and the availability of property that is challenging and has any moisture. That's the struggles. Like, that's why there's so many sprint rounds, man, because of dust and so much of Australia where there is land available, it's not the best land and it's very dusty, and you're making the most of a pretty dusty, dry paddocks and using the terrain you can find, that sort of thing. Like the beautiful, awesome parts of Australia where you could run amazing events are very hard to get hold of, man. Like in Victoria, our best, our best couple of ones, like Chucky's Place, Three Bridges for Vic off roads. That's amazing, man. But it's and even they're having trouble at the moment with neighbours complaining and stuff like that. And
Yep.
And there's always that sort of thing. You lose properties because it's all private. All to do with private ownership. Everything's got to be private ownership, and a family sells the property and then it's gone forever.
Yeah.
And a long time since we could use any state land for motorsport events. Although somehow the car rallies seem to get over the line still, but yeah,
Got friends in high places, I guess.
Dirt bikes don't. Yeah. That's why. That's why the 4-day runs just every now and again. Just man, all the work around getting land access and that sort of thing is crazy. Like even just to run a non-competitive ride in a state forest is just the paperwork
too hard.
So like the paperwork's crazy. Like I always go and help out to run the Stockman's Rally here in Victoria, which is a big non-competitive ride, and I love it. I've got a lot of mates in that club, and it's just you sweep ride and just all that sort of stuff, and they're talking to the guys that organise that. Like at one stage, I was going to take over organising it, and the track building and all the nuts and bolts and that. Like I love that shit, but the dealing with Parks Victoria and the local police and the local government and all that, it just like blew my mind. I was like, I can't handle that sort of stuff. I can't do all that. So yeah, clubs are lucky to have people that take on that. And then you think about running a 4-day in Australia, man. Like you got to do all that stuff for every section and every different location, and it's a crazy amount of work. That's why. Old moto, you pull up in your van or your ute and you wheel it out the back, and someone's watering the track, and you head out there, and it's a lot easier sometimes. Even when I was I was heavily involved with the MCRCV, which is a big off-road club in I've got the shirt on, big off-road club in Victoria. It's the one where Chucky and Lindo, Lynn and Snodgrass, and they sort of grew up in that club, and we would throw in a motocross round once every season just to give all the volunteers and the committee a break, basically. We just get to roll up, pay for a track for a weekend. Yeah, tell them when we need it watered, and just all we had to do was wave a few flags for the weekend, instead of the huge effort to build tracks, man. But
yeah, it is. It is a huge effort, and it's probably something that now that I'm retired, I should be really pitching in to help out with and make it happen. But I raced the Victorian Championship for a few years, and that was like almost a better championship than the AORC. As terms of tracks and stuff, and Milner was always there, and Chucky, Pete Boyle, and all these guys. It was a stacked field anyway, so it was still the same competition. But we raced it. I think it was Erica once, and it got rained out. It must have got rained out, and I think that might have been a state forest type ride.
Yeah, Erica. So Three Bridges, Erica, and sort of probably Omeo. They're really great locations. They're literally private land that's in the high country, and that's so rare though. So rare, and they're also, you got to manage those properties too. Like the Sanders property, they've got to sort of be careful what time of year they use it and that sort of thing, because you can just destroy the place if it's if you tear it up too much in the winter, it's just destroyed, and it's very hard to maintain. Like Chucky's dad, Pete, if there was a world championship for technical tractor driving, he would win that. Like you want to see him, up in the mountain with a blade on a tractor. It's awesome to watch it, and he'll be like, he'll be full drift on a tractor around an off-camber corner with the blade down, looking backwards, fixing ruts. I was like, it's very hard property to maintain.
Oh, Pete, he's a real card too. I really enjoy catching up with him.
He's a great player. Yeah, you get the apple did. Here's I'm really using a pun here, but the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So
not at all. No. Chucky's a good mix of Pete and Pauline for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now Pete's I haven't seen him for bloody ages because I lived down close by them for quite a few years, and I used to get out. At one stage, I reckon I knew that property probably second best to anyone apart from Chucky, because I was marking tracks out there and I had his sweet riding out there and all that sort of stuff. And it's a good family and good joint, man.
Yeah, good people. Yeah.
Dude, so after your world championship years, man, just tell us a bit about the career sort of since then towards from 16 sort of through towards the end there.
16, and the next year I think 17 we went second again. We were just having a lot of trouble with the bike, and and sometimes you just don't get lucky. You have trouble, things don't go well, you drop around, and or something, the manufacturing changes and you have a lot of trouble. So that's just part of the journey. And maybe if I'd had a bit older head on my shoulders, I would have stayed there a little bit longer, put up with it.
Were you on the 300 again that year?
300 then, and then the following year as well, where I think that might have been it. I'm not sure. But had a bit of a. Honestly, in 2016 we finished the championship and I was done. I was like, I need a break. I don't have enough. Yeah. I wanted to be home and couldn't be home, and was just in a bit of a bad mindset really, and it took years to come out of. I think it was just I don't know why. Everything's going well, but you just you have a win, and a win's not a celebration. A win's just a relief. We got that done.
Starting to be a bit more just like this is work.
like it needs to be a win, otherwise I'm not going to be satisfied.
Oh yeah, the pressure of
And
losing. Yeah,
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 and it wasn't so much. Yeah, it's just like nothing. There was just no satisfaction at all. It was just get by, and
mm.
which is it's a weird thing to talk about because other guys, they think, oh, just won that race. I'm so happy. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And anyway, I was just in a bit of a bad spot, and like I didn't have a good bike, and things weren't working out. So ultimately, just said, well, if I'm not going to keep living like this, I've got to change something, and it was good. Had good friendship with the team manager, and we'd had a bit of we tossed a few ideas around, and things weren't going really well there, and I'd hit my head a few times wearing the light helmet, which really rattled me. They set me down the, they sent me into a bit of what do you say, like a bit of depression. I was struggling
yeah.
struggling to sleep, struggling to get up. I was just in a real hole, and made the call just to get out of there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, probably not a great call, as far as a fairy tale story for the community, if you like, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, that was the call that was made, and there's no bad blood there or anything like that. It was just you got out of there and started the new chapter. I come home. I tried to do a little bit of riding, tried to do a little bit of AORC, broke my knee, and that was sort of, like have a few honest chats at home. It's like, well, this is time to not to give it up, but time to move on to the next, whatever's next. So
Yeah.
so we did that, and yeah, now I probably 5 or 6 years on now, and I'm starting to get the bug back. I start to think about bikes more, and yeah, who knows? Could be some local races in the future for sure. That's where I'm heading. Just starting to get the bug back again, and I really enjoy watching young Kyron do well. I like his style, and I like his lack of style in some points too. So like he's all go, and so I've had a bit of enjoyment, sort of just following him a little bit, and just getting on with a normal life, which is cool.
Yeah, man. So you spoke a little bit there about getting some depression in the towards the end of the stint in Europe and that sort of thing. And I know we've spoken off air about we share something in common there, where I certainly not whilst having a world championship career, but I have a lot of experience with depression and mental health issues and that sort of thing, which it affected my life greatly for many years, for most of my adult life, to be honest. And I know that I've got a thing over here that Scrivo gave me. It doesn't really fit in the camera too well, but where you did a thing for Beyond Blue. You can't really see the Beyond Blue logo there. Who is a Aussie mental health charity. So yeah, dude. Can we talk a little bit more about all that stuff, man?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm an open book with that kind of thing, and I've had a lot of friends affected by it far worse than me. They're not here to talk about it. So I mean, it's it's tough. Like you said, you didn't have the world championship there, but sometimes you don't get to enjoy them things. It's just like you're in your head's in not a bad space. You don't even know you're in a bad space. It's just
Yes.
Yeah.
At the start, you don't even know what you don't know. Like
No, you're going through it, and it's not the first time. I'm been through some. You go through some stuff in your life, and you're really lucky if you get the tools to and not half of it. If I recognising that you're not doing well is a good start. And it's nothing to be down about. It's like, oh, hang on, shit, we're in the bloody. We've got a bit going on here. What can we do Never
Do you
know.
remember when you recognised that did you have a moment where you recognised like, shit, like maybe I do have depression and maybe I am, something's not right here? Because I have like a specific moment where I had the penny dropped, as they'd say. But yeah, I don't know if you do.
No, maybe when I was young. Yeah, when I was younger, I sort of just battled a little bit with it. Like everything's going really well. Everything's going well. You're winning your motocross races, and you're just sad. Just you couldn't cheer yourself up inside.
Yeah,
And that's when you got to you start and you got to start thinking about the big picture stuff, because I think you lose that a bit. You start getting focused on these little things, and they're big things. Like they really rattle you. Um, yeah, and when you're down, they get you. Yeah, so I don't know, but I do know that like when it's happened, and I've been able to find some big picture stuff to sort
to
of
get through it. Yeah.
start straightening out a bit, because you don't just straighten up on a good thought. So
Yeah, man. No, it's a fucking hard road. Like I could do like a 4-hour show just on my own journey. One day maybe I will, but it's a fucking hard road, and it's not a straight road, man. There's a lot of there's a lot of uphills and downhills. But as long as the uphills there's more uphills than downhills, you're going in the right direction. So,
yeah,
yeah, man. Do you remember when
and
you
it's
first sort of went and got some help? Did you, so you're like
no,
you in Italy? Did you get some help over
no,
there, or when
no,
you got home?
no. I don't have a. I'm really lucky. I've got mum and dad and these guys around me that really care for me, and Catherine, my wife. So I've been able to just sort of talk with them, but I didn't go and get probably the help. Probably I was probably a little bit embarrassed, to be honest. Like
Oh yeah, understandable. I
everything
was.
how do you go and say, oh, everything's going really well, but it's not?
Yeah,
It was tough. And
yeah,
luckily got through it, and even just talking about this stuff now just gives me the confidence that if it happened again, maybe I could. Like
yeah,
yeah, just yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And like
Oh,
I so I'll just show's not about me, but just a brief. So I heard I was at my in-laws, and my in-laws always listened to my father-in-law. He always listened to the what's the old boys radio station over here? 3AW. He's listening to 3AW football. And Wayne Schwass, who Aussies would know, or Aussies who know AFL would know Wayne Schwass. He was a champion player for North Melbourne and for Sydney. He came on and started telling his story about being depressed and depression. And he was a tough as nails football player, like known for being like a tough guy, all that sort of thing. He came on and started talking about it. And it was literally the first time I'd ever heard anybody, especially anybody who was a real fucking man's man, talk about depression. And it stopped me in my tracks, and I thought like, fuck, maybe that's what's wrong with me. And well, it was. And so that was a real pivotal moment. And then I remember it was probably still a fair while after that where I had the courage to go and tell my GP that I thought that was my problem. And I'd spoken to my wife about it, and like she had to ring me up to say, "Are you at the doctors? Like you're getting out of the car and going in, like Otherwise, like I was probably sitting in the car park, like But then you go in, and it's like she's heard that so many times before, and she's so supportive, and she was an awesome doctor. And then it was just like that sort of started a journey of me getting better, So it's and it's tough, man. It's a tough thing. There's this block in your head about being a man and being tough and all this. But in the end, the toughest thing you can do is talk about it. So
yeah,
that's real toughness, is when a bloke actually does talk about it. That's tough. So it's a hell of a thing, man. And like I've spoken about before, probably not on this show, but on other things I've spoken about, like this. a lot of people don't understand, and you can't blame them for not understanding. And a lot of people, there's still people who don't even believe that it's a real thing. But you can't sort of blame them, because if they haven't experienced it or had a loved one experience depression or anxiety and these things, like, they don't know, But one thing I remember, I did this video, this mental health video there, a fair few years ago when I first sort of got well. And one of the things that I referenced on the video, and I'm sure you will agree, is that I've smashed myself up real bad on dirt bikes before. And the worst pain I can remember would be when I broke my back. And I would have that all over again, like 10 times before I would have chronic depression again. Like, no worries. Grab a hammer and start breaking bones, like any day you like, over waking up with chronic depression. So that that gives it a bit of a scale of what it feels like compared to physical pain.
You can deal with physical pain. It's there.
Yeah,
it's just like, and I'm a bit of a like a, I like to be pretty tough too, like especially with injuries and stuff. Like, I don't let it bother me. But you get over the injuries. You move on, and all things go well, you move on from your injuries. But the other one, it's a battle to come out of. It's not a sudden hurt. It's not a sudden relief. It's nothing like that. It's just and it's funny to talk about it. I thought I'd probably talk about it easier than what I'm thinking now. I'm a bit blank at the moment, but
that's all right, man.
Yeah,
it's good to hear someone like you talk about it, though, man. Like 4-time world championship.
Yeah, it just feels like
dirt bike rider, and so it's good, man. There's guaranteed. I guarantee there's people who listen to the show that'll get something from that. I know. I certainly know. I've got a few mates who listen to every episode who have had the similar sort of struggles. So I'll get something out of it.
When I'm talking to you now, I'm thinking, I'm letting the listeners down. Not so much talking about it, but it's like it's not how you want to be perceived. But at the same time, if I put myself in my shoes in an hour's time, I think, it's exactly what I should be talking about, because you don't want to see someone. You want to know that it is relatable. Like it can happen, and it could happen, and it's okay that it's tough. Like you'll get through it, and you'll get the right tools, and whether that comes from just figuring it out or whatever. But it's not the don't let it be the end of the road. That's for sure.
That's right, man. Yeah, because we all know, we've all been touched by people who did let it be the end of the road, man. We've all. I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't know somebody that took their own life, man. So, and because of it, there's everyone's. I certainly do, and people who've done that and tried to do it and that sort of thing, and it's so fucking sad, man. Yeah.
I've even got mates that I wasn't really close with, and I still think about them a lot, and it's a lot of hurt. It is a lot of hurt to think about it.
It is
big picture stuff. Yeah, it's not
and a lot of them just didn't ask for help. It sounds great, man. Like what you were saying about how it sounds like your family were super awesome about it.
They are. Yeah, they still are.
Helping you talk about it and that sort of thing. And that and your wife, man. Yeah. That and there's a lot of poor buggers out there that don't have that support. Man. They don't have a family that's maybe like open talkers. Because especially.
And I'm not either. Let's be clear on that. I'm pretty. I like to sort things out. I'm a proud man. Like every other. That's part of our build, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, but I'm really lucky. I've got Catherine there at home, and Mum and Dad. They're just down the road. I'm at their place now. Some Wi-Fi reception.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is better there. Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing that stuff, man. It's really really good, man. Yeah, it is. It's something like I've said on the show many times now that I have two great passions in life, and one's obviously dirt bikes, man, and the other one is like mental health awareness, man. So it's if I could speak about either one of those for a job, man, I'd never work a day in my life, So
Yeah.
it is, and my story of getting my first depression sort of symptoms through to figuring out my shit and getting really well is about a 25-year story. So and in that time, I'm one of these guys who I fix everything myself, like anything to do with a car, a dirt bike, a house, a computer, anything like that. I'll want to learn how to fix it and do it all myself. And that's sort of the approach I took with my own health as well, and so I learned a lot off different psychologists and that sort of thing. And I've ended up being quite, I feel like I'm very knowledgeable on the subject and love helping people. And I think other times where I've spoken about this on this show, man, I'm very much an open book. Like if you're listening to this, DM me if you want to talk about something. Absolutely, I'm always here to help people, especially if listening to me and Maddie talk about this stuff has got you thinking, and you want someone that's real easy to talk to and real confidential. I don't care if you're a stranger. You DM me and we'll talk, dude. Let's change gears a little bit, man. Something I've got to ask you about, and this is it's a fun one because you got up off the ground and you weren't hurt, but dude, you mentioned Wildwood earlier there. One of the biggest crashes I've seen, or maybe not the biggest, one of the most spectacular crashes I've seen. Do you remember the cartwheel off the start at Wildwood that year? You're on a two-stroke, you were riding for Jeff, you're on a YZ250 two-stroke. You got the whole shot, and from the spectator area, there was long grass, so you couldn't really see, but you were airborne, and then you were into this massive cartwheel. Tell us about that. It's imprinted in my mind.
Yeah, so I think it was it Graham Jarvis there for that race?
That was the year that you came second to Jarvis, yeah.
Oh, third, I think I was.
Oh, you were third, yeah.
He lapped me, by the way.
Yeah, he lapped everyone.
After all this commotion.
Yeah.
But I'd won it the year before. I think that's how it worked. I won it the year before, and then this Jarvis guy's turning up, and I didn't know much about him.
No, none of us did, yeah.
No, it was just, and he's riding around the pits doing his wheelies and all the technical stuff, as he does. So, this guy's pretty cool. The flag drops on the race. I take off. First corner's a right-hander with a little log in it. So I get round there. It's a little slippery log. Off I go, and there's like a ski jump in front of me. And I remember walking this ski jump before the race, and it was like if you hit this flat out, you could jump the rock garden after it. Anyway, I sort of was halfway down the straight, and I thought, oh, that's how you do it. Like, I'll do that. I'll just launch that rock garden. Anyway, I come up about 3 foot short, and I landed in the rock garden from about 8. Oh no,
it's a big jump.
I'm not sure what sort of measure it was, but
it was a big jump, and you were going fast, man.
And I come to a real stop.
Dead stop. The front wheel just stopped, man, and you just cartwheel on.
And thank God, when it threw me, I landed on the grass, like the grass field. I went down hard, but I went down without being in the rock garden. So
yeah, you were okay, but the bike was fucking bent, man. Like
it'd have to be one of the stupidest things I've done, but it would have been one of the coolest things I've done if it had gone well.
Oh yeah, no, it was impressive, man. Yeah.
But yeah, that just goes to show the mentality at the time. I wanted to be the guy, but it didn't work out, that one, and busted front wheel and all the rest of it, and really hurt my wrist too. That played havoc for years, but I remember the guys. They just they patched the bike back up and said, "Oh, get going then."
Because I remember seeing the bike.
If you're going to be stupid enough to do it, you can finish this race.
I've seen the bike afterwards, and because the pits are real close to the spectator area there, so you can sort of run from one to the other. and they were fixing your bike, and it was just bent to shit and bits hanging off it and all that sort of thing. And yeah, that was amazing. And then, but I can remember you just tearing back through the field, just going up and up and up. And I always thought you were second to Jarvis, but yeah, third. But yeah, and he lapped everyone, and yeah, it was crazy. I always remember, and I had Jarvis on the show a fair while ago now, and I told him my memory of that, and I remember very clearly. We didn't really know who he was, and you're watching the scores on they got the scoreboard leaning up against the caravan there, Vic off-road style, and you're watching the scores like, who is this guy? And everyone's Googling him and trying to get, not the phone coverage isn't real good out there. Everyone's trying to Google who he is and all that. And then you see all this shit he's won, all these hard enduros he's won and all that. And it's like, wow, okay, that's why this guy's winning.
Yeah, we got the best guy ever. Yeah.
Yeah, he lapped Stefan over the tractor tyres in the spectator area there. And he was doing, how Jarvis does that sort of, he kind of yells at people, but it's kind of a polite yell. It's funny. It's like he yells really loud, but it's like not an aggressive yell. It's a funny sort of very British, and coming through or whatever he says. And he lapped Stefan, and it was just like, he slapped Stefan Merriman. Like, what the hell is this guy on, And it wasn't long after that, and hard enduro just exploded in Australia, and everybody knows him. He's a cool dude. When I interviewed him, man, he is the exact same dude on and off air, and as he is on the podium and all that. Just real casual, polite guy. So yeah. But that crash, man, yeah, that's one of the craziest crashes I've ever seen. That's for sure, from my vantage point. So I can't imagine what it was like for you.
But, I think it was I probably had a quick chance to hold my breath and think about it for a split second, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah. So I always thought
I'd really forgot about that, and then you brought it back.
Because the grass was quite long out there, so I didn't even know until you're saying that there was a rock garden there. I always thought maybe there was a stump. You found a stump in the grass or something like that. When you
it was so much stupid.
A rock garden in amongst the long grass there. Yeah, and you couldn't even see how big the jump was because the grass was long. And until you hit it and it just launched, and it's like, oh shit, that's a pretty big jump out there, and like you must have hit that like about pinned in fourth or something, like you were moving.
I think so, about that, yeah.
You were moving and you just sailed, and then the front wheel made contact with the ground, and then the back wheel passed it, man. It was just like the fat front wheel never moved. It was crazy. Crazy crash, yeah. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Fun memory, that one for both of us. Is for you that considering that you got up and you weren't too injured. Apart from, I didn't know that it caused you a bit of problem with your wrist though, man.
Yeah, probably lucky. Really, it was a good crash.
Yeah. And then you did a bit of Supercross, man. Riding for Ando. What's your memories of that?
Yeah, that was cool. It was Ando was a bit of. He was sort of Dad's idol. Dad really liked Craig Anderson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it was cool, and him and welcomed me into the family. His family up there at Newcastle with the kids and everybody. So he was great, and what an opportunity. Yeah, he was. He's a good guy. I'd love to catch up with him again and have a laugh. They were just family, family, and looked after us. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was like. Which series was that? That was like Super X or
Super X, yeah.
Super X is so the history of Aussie Supercross is like different promoters and different series and all that. It's impossible to keep a track of. But yeah, so was there like a race in Newcastle, or where was the?
Yeah, we did the whole championship. We just didn't go across the ditch to New Zealand. So yeah. Straight onto the. I never raced a 450, but we raced the first Supercross on the 450. So it was a pretty steep learning curve.
Who was out? What Americans were out here? Was that like
I think Brayton, Wyndham.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure. Chad was out, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Chad,
and then you got
them, yeah.
And then Mossy and obviously Craig Anderson. Oh, it was so stacked. It was unbelievable. It was just good to be out there with the
fun,
guys.
yeah.
Dan Reardon was top of his game then too. So it's all these guys that are sort of your hero. You're out there racing with them. So
righto, time for an ad read. Guts Racing, Greg's Ultra Trick Seats. Gutsracing.com. That's a really, really easy website to remember, isn't it? Gutsracing.com. If you want to be like Ken Roxon, you want to be like Chiz, you want to be like Mookie, if you want to be like Phil, who doesn't want to be like Phil? You got to get yourself a Guts seat. Also, over in Europe, we've got Kai de Wolf and Lucas Kuhnen just battling out for a world championship on the Husqvarnas with Guts seats. If you buy a Rockstar Edition Husqvarna, it comes off the showroom floor with a Guts seat. Also in Australia, we have Jed Beaton on a Guts seat, battling for the MX1 Championship. Guts Racing, they obviously make seat covers. They also make complete seats. They make custom seats with the bump. The RJ wide wing seat, we had the great man telling us about that himself a little while ago. You can get replacement seat foams, the ultralight seat foam, a huge range of colours. You can get tall seats in 2 different sizes. You can get a Velcro fitment or a traditional staple gun fitment. Speaking of fitment, when you get your Guts seat cover, it comes with a QR code. You scan that and it will take you to a video where you'll see the man himself, Andy Gregg, showing you how to install that seat cover. How's that for service? As privateer hero and Guts athlete, Scott Meshy says, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. And some news for the Aussie listeners. So we've got a Aussie legend on this show. Hopefully gets a few more Aussie listeners. And Guts seats are now available through MX Store. So if you're an Aussie, you know who MX Store is, and I'm sure you know where that website is. So make sure you get around that. Gutsracing.com, once again, is that website that's real easy to remember. Gutsracing.com. Okay, let's get back and see what else Matty Phillips has got to say.
Matty, so tell us about a most memorable race. So not necessarily one that you won or whatever, just a real memorable race.
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. A memorable race springs to mind is like 2014. I smashed my foot. I've sort of mentioned it a couple of times, and sort of busted my foot. Had a bit of Rio go through the foot. And still managed to win the first couple of tests with a broken foot, and that was then off to the hospital and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So
whereabouts was that, man? What?
That was in Italy. World Championship race, so probably one of the bigger races of the year for us as far as spectators and sponsors and all that sort of stuff. So it was pretty important race to try and win. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had a bit of Rio go through your boot.
Yeah, went through my boot, went through my foot. So, smashed that up, and I think, it was pretty nasty, actually. Yeah, full of mud and crap.
Yeah. I can remember hearing about it at the time, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'd spoken with my mechanic. I said to him, I've hurt my foot. So he wrapped it up with duct tape and sent me off for an hour and a half trail section.
Yeah.
I'd done a test at the end of that section and came into the pits, and they took my boot off, and it was pretty clear then that things weren't looking real well.
Yeah, the old duct tape. So we just duct taped up the boot where the Rio was, yeah.
Yeah, he duct taped it and gave me a slap on the back and told me to get going.
So. Off you go, yeah. What was it like when the boot came off, man? Like full of blood or like?
It wasn't too bad because the booty had like the inner booty in it.
Yeah.
It was just at the parking area was in a car park. So when I took it off, I seen the white line through my foot. So I just didn't keep looking at it very long. I just thought, I better sit down and it looks like the race is over.
Yeah. Bloody hell, man. Yeah. The old duct tape. I like the duct tape bit, man. That's funny. It's very very moto, man, to duct tape something up. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Hey, what's your favourite country that you visited or raced in or anything like that? Do you have a favourite country of all the different ones that you raced in?
Yeah, I often answer this one with Finland. We always liked it. The people were always really cold on the first touch, but then really, super friendly after that. So that was a really good country. We loved going there, and maybe Italy as well. That's where we lived. So the people, a lot of friends there, and yeah, it was great. Yeah. I thought you might have said Italy because you had, you obviously had a really good relationship with the team there and your mechanic and all that sort of thing. So you would have been doing some Italian rounds, like their national rounds as well in between. Did you do a few of them? That's usually the drill, isn't it? Yeah, we had to do them, and they were always a lot harder than the World Championship to get a good result. You were lucky to finish on the podium at all.
Yeah.
And, unless the conditions suited, but those guys were just so good at that stuff. Riding on the slippery stones and little goat tracks on the mountains. They were just a lot faster. Yeah. It was it. And Finland, man, like that one's always just seems like a crazy round. It's the snow, and obviously the locals do pretty well there too, man. Like the who's the guy that's usually kicks ass in Finland? The little Aero. Oh, Aero, yeah, that's it, Aero, yeah, that's his spot, isn't it? Yeah, yep. Yeah, he was great, and the snow rounds, they were brutal. We didn't do that well there, and didn't really enjoy them, but that was. It was an experience. Yeah. But the people, you like the people there more so than the snow and the cold. Yeah, hated the snow and the cold, but the summer races there were really good, and the people were just 10 out of 10, just good people, just very much like Australians, just happy to help out, and they were cruisy. Yeah, cool. Nice, man. Nice. What about your toughest opponent, man? And let's say in your time in Europe, who's your toughest opponent? Maybe Bellino. Yeah, he was a tough opponent, and I certainly didn't want him to win, and he certainly didn't want me to win. So it made for a pretty fierce rivalry. But we still had a lot of respect for each other. Off the track and more so on the track. So, it was a good rivalry. And unfortunately, he went on in 2018, 2018, he broke his neck. He broke his back. So, that was a real pity. Yeah, man. It's one of the cruel parts of our sport, man. It's always everyone's biggest fear, man, is the old spinal injuries, man, and it still happens, but, I guess we know the risk when we sign up, don't we? We love it enough to run the risk, I guess, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, he was unlucky. Like, he went off to he got a ride with the HRC rally team. Yeah. Everything was looking good. He was doing a race. He missed a checkpoint. He was turning around doing like 20 Ks an hour and just fell over. And, he broke his neck, so poor bastard. Yeah. It's crazy sometimes. It's not the biggest crash, It's just, I don't know. It's a tough thing, man. Sometimes it's not. He's probably had heaps of crashes way bigger than that. Yeah, it was tough for even us to deal with because we picture a decent crash in the desert. You go flying. Those guys are pushing the limit. Yeah, and can have a pretty horrific crash, and it was just a simple fall over, so it was a bit of an injustice to really break his back just having a simple crash, but it can happen. Yeah, man. Dude, what about a favourite race bike? So it's not the big bore YZ 475. We know that. But what was your favourite one, man? I don't know. Maybe it was the 2016 Sherco. I think that was probably it. It was a great little bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. I expected you to say the 300 two-stroke. I don't know why. Everyone loves them, So, but yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool that the old. I've never ridden a Sherco, man, but I've always heard from people who do ride them. They tend to like them. So yeah.
Yeah, and every year's different. Like that year in particular, everything went well. As in the bike come together well, and we gelled with it. We made it how we wanted it, and then the next year they changed the frame, they changed the plastics, they changed a whole bunch of stuff that didn't go in our favour. So it was just right. There was a good bike for the moment.
Yeah. I suppose all manufacturers go through that, don't they? New models and. It's got to always be a worrisome time for any team when a new model's coming. It's like, oh shit, what do we got coming here? It's especially a team that's going well. You've just won a world championship, and then there's a new model comes out. So got to be stressful time.
Yeah, it is painful, and I feel for the guys because just like in our work, we have to prove ourselves. So the engineers there or anywhere, they've got to change something, they've got to update the styling, they've got to be seen to be doing stuff, even though they know they've got a good little package. But ultimately, not every decision is the best decision. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very interested in new model development, that sort of thing, and I listen to podcasts about that and that sort of thing, and it's interesting. I think nowadays more than ever they take more advice from the guys that race them than they used to. I think that's sort of getting better and better all the time. Like for instance, the new model Honda, like Jet and Hunter had a huge amount to do with that building that bike, so it's an interesting thing, especially I think a lot of the time new models would come out sort of aimed at working well for like a guy like me, so which doesn't translate to a guy like you, so as far as that sort of thing, they sort of aimed for the weekend warrior a bit more, and it's not necessarily a good race bike, but I think they almost go the other way around now, because when it's all said and done, the weekend warrior, he doesn't care. Like, it doesn't matter much to me, I don't care. It's a new bike, it's cool, whatever, I can make it a bit softer and a bit slower if I need to, but especially if the bike works well for the race team, well then that's where the championships come, and that's where the marketing comes from too, So.
Yeah, and I like what they've done with their marketing. They've tried to say that, they are saying that these guys are winning, and this is what this is their bike, and this is what you can buy, and that's going to be a big selling point because, the punters want to buy what's winning on the Sunday.
Yeah, that's right, and people are still going to buy it. Like I said, the weekend warriors, they'll. They'll, and nowadays too, like you can do so much with mapping, man. Like you can make a completely different bike just through mapping, as far as the engine characteristics, and you can get your suspension sorted out and that sort of thing, and you can make it sort of old boy C grade friendly and get it right for your weekend warriors. As long, but it's got to be right for the guys that are winning races out there for a start, man. Yeah, so it's a
bikes have definitely come a long way. They're always just improving, and it doesn't matter which colour it is. You get on it, it's going to be a good bike straight out of the box today. Yeah,
they're all good now, man. Like it's the days of shit model bikes and that, there's a few in history or a lot in history that come out and they've just been a bit of a disaster, and sometimes there'd be brands that would go through like 5 years of just disaster bikes, it doesn't happen anymore, man, like they're all good, you put the best rider in the world on an RMZ and they're going to win, like simple as that. And that the old RMZs always get the last in the last place in all the shootouts, man. But Kenny can win on one because it's that's the beauty, man. That's why dirt bikes are so good, man, because it is so much about the rider. You know, the bike matters the least in our sport compared to any other motorsport.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool, man.
But I do have a soft spot for the RMZ. I think it's a good bike. And I was watching a 250 shootout the other day on YouTube because we've got the new baby. We've got a bit of time. So I was checking it out, and they were saying that the RMZ 250 brings on, it's say if it's 35 horsepower. Well, it makes it 35 horsepower way before the others make 35 horsepower, and then they might go on to make their 45. But yeah, that translates to me that as an overweight fella, that 250 is probably a better bike for me.
Yeah. A bit more old school power. Yeah,
make it early and hit hard. So it might be a good little bike.
Yeah. Oh, it would be, man. And we'll get to see one really get its neck wrung and at Ironman, because Kenny, I don't know if you heard it, you've probably heard, Kenny's going to ride a 250 at the last round of the Nationals just for, well, he's sort of saying just for fun, something different, but I get the feeling that maybe Motocross the Nations German team's got something to do with it. But either way, that'll be cool, seeing Kenny line up in the 250 class from after about 10 years or whatever. But they get those RMZ 250s. They get them going, man, like the Bar X ones with the twisted development motors in them, man. Like, they're fast. There's a lot of potential in that those little motors, man. So that'll be cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah. I ended up down the rabbit hole checking out that twisted development RMZ 250 and all that on the YouTube on the TV this week. So yeah, but yeah, Kenny's. I can't wait to watch him race it, to be honest, and hopefully that translates to a ride at the Des Nations, like you said.
Yeah, I've just got to like it. It doesn't make sense because the young fella, which I get, the MXGP dudes, I get mixed up still which countries they're from. But I think it's Lagenfelder. I think it's Lagenfelder is German. But yeah, one of the top. It is Lagenfelder. He's German. So you'd think he's got to be their 250 guy. But yeah, who knows? Like, yeah, you don't know what might happen. So yeah, but that'd be cool, So I love the Motocross the Nations, man. It's always super interesting, and I certainly love it this year because that's our best shot ever. So
and a lot of Hondas.
Yeah. It's it's difficult to win, man. Everything's got to come together, But geez, it's we're never going to have a better chance in this year, So
it's very, very good team, and I'm interested to see how Kyle goes on the 250. Like he's been solid the last couple of years.
I would have been really happy with him or whichever suited, and it's obviously they've chosen Kyle, and that works out good with the Honda connection and all that. But either one of those guys would do a great job, as would 3 or 4 other of the guys that are racing locally, But Kyle's a good choice, and remember last year I was like, we podiumed and all that, and I felt like I should have been happy, but I wasn't happy, man, because I was like, fuck, we should have won that, But anyway, it's good, man. It'll be very very interesting to see how it goes. There's a few other teams that are stacked, man. Like the Dutch team is stacked as well, and that sort of thing. Yeah. Hey, dude. Question something that I've often thought about with the different Aussies who've been over and had a crack at the at the World Enduros, man. And there's been some, other riders, particularly Chucky and Dan Milner come to mind where, things just didn't work out for them. And it especially didn't work out for them as far as gelling with bikes, gelling with teams, being away from home, all those sort of things. Is there something, sort of, I guess, with you and your personality that helped you with that? Or do you think that maybe just that Italian team you had with just such good people that it made it easier, or a bit of both? Or
100%. It was probably more. It's all about your. It's a hard one to answer without. I think I was just lucky. I went over there as a young kid, no expectation, no stresses. As in, I didn't know any different, so it really helped. These guys, they're pretty accomplished riders, and they went over there. Yeah. And the living arrangements, it's strange. It's difficult. The bikes aren't. The bikes are different. There's a different style of racing, so that's. And if you expect something already, it makes it hard, and they don't really want to change a lot for you either. Unless you're winning, they don't want to do anything special for you. So it does make it hard. Whereas obviously Will Wright, he had some success. He won a world championship. 2 years ago. Yeah. And he's a pretty happy-go-lucky kind of guy. As serious as he is, he's pretty mellow in his ways. Like, he's pretty easy to get along with. Yeah. So I think that helped him. And Mitch Harper, he was over there doing really well too. There's a lot of guys that have done, and you've just got to. I think for the two Daniels, they were already accomplished riders and accomplished in their careers, and it just made it a little bit tougher for them, I think. Yeah. It certainly wasn't the riding, and it wasn't the fitness. That's they're both exceptional at that.
Exceptional, yeah.
Professionals.
I think, I know a little bit, and you probably do too. I know a little bit of backstory on Chucky's year over there. That's not for me to say, but it was tough, and then Dan Milner, I know. Sometimes he struggles a bit in other countries just with his diabetes too. So you never know how much that plays a part because he's got to be so careful with his diet and all that sort of thing. I remember when he went to have a go at the GNCCs, he did mention that there was some of the struggles with the diet changes and the different foods and that sort of thing with his diabetes. So, I don't know whether that affected him in Europe at all, but and he's back in Oz again now. So it's good.
It's certainly not his riding.
No.
He's an exceptional athlete as well. It's just that you need everything to add up and everything to go your way, and everyone to be behind you for it to all work. And I think it was a pretty brave move taking the family over there, but even that's it's hard work, and if mum's not enjoying herself, which, maybe she was, it just makes it harder.
For sure.
Two toddlers around, we struggle at home with kids, so, let alone trying to do all that. So a huge effort, and the results didn't come, so that didn't help either. So
was your girlfriend over in Europe with you at any stage, or were you just? Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Kat was with me, and she was she was fantastic. She was really good. Just needed her there, and you definitely need your wife there or your girlfriend. Yeah. As much as your dad would love to come with you, because you spend all your junior years coming up with your parents. But you just need your girlfriend there, and she doesn't care about the racing much, so you don't have to be both bummed about a bad weekend. You can just move on and go and have a coffee together and let it go. So.
A bit of just like therapy, man, isn't it? Just having your person there, which would help a lot, man. Yeah.
It does help.
Like especially like in a country like, I suppose most of your team English was their second language, and like that sort of thing. It could have been pretty lonely at times without it, I'm tipping.
Oh, big time. Yeah. It is tough. If anyone wants to go and do it, just prepare for it to be tough, because it's certainly not easy, and unless you're willing to really try and start those relationships, you don't have anyone to help you or get behind you, so it is tough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, cool. Nice. Hey, I might just ask you some different questions, man. We might stray a little bit away from dirt bikes.
Cool.
Dude, what other skills and interests, man? What else do you get up to?
Oh, I've got this bad addiction where I buy cars off Marketplace.
Nice. What sort of cars, man?
Mostly old Nissan Patrols, and we go out and we do a lot of four-wheel driving and a lot of mucking around, modifying everything, and that takes up a lot of our time now. Just doing stuff, planning trips. So that's sort of a big part of what we get up to, and obviously now with the kids, that's all happening. So Seth won't be far off getting on a motorbike, and we'll start that all again. Start it all again, hey? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, get the Z50 under the Christmas tree again, man. That's it. Absolutely. Yeah, cool. That where you live now, man, have you got a little bit of space around you? Yeah, we've got a few acres here, and it's just it's a good place to live down here in Tassie. It's quiet. There's not many people about, so nice. That's the way. Now that you'll just love that, man. Yeah, you'll just love that. There's nothing better than riding with your kids, man. That's the favourite thing ever for me. Like I've gotten to, like I've said, I'm old, I'm slow, and I was even slow when I was young. But I've gotten to do some pretty cool riding and ride with some pretty cool people. But still, my favourite thing ever is just following kids around. So that's the best thing. Yeah, that's it, man. Cool. And what sort of music are you into, man? Oh, just a bit of anything. I'm not really into the heavy country. I will dabble in a bit of like John Williamson or Paul Kelly, but that's as far as the country goes for me. And I'm just trying to think about what I've been listening to this week. Spotify's just full of all sorts of random things. So a bit of rock, I guess. Yeah. Just a bit of rock, man. Did you were you one who'd listen to a bit of music, man, like the morning of a race or anything like that, or were you just like chilled out, quiet time, or? Oh, mostly just running around yarning to people, just the talker, and organised, and then rushed in at the last second, chucking the gear on and heading off for the day. Yeah, I was just more of a social butterfly. Yeah, it's funny, man. I've had that answer quite a few times to that question, which it's funny. Yeah, some people, they talk. They talk. The nerves make them talk, and they're just racing around talking to everyone, and then others go real quiet, and and then there's obviously the ones that just headphones on, man, and it's this music or motivational stuff or whatever, like all that sort of thing, man. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, everyone's got their different thing, but I was just more like, probably a little bit unorganised, so running around getting organised and just chatting with everyone, and the race is the race, so there's no point getting stressed about it. Just go out there and do your best when it comes. So, it's never too fussed.
Yeah, cool, man, cool. Hey, as we're talking, I just remembered that you something you mentioned off air, man, about when we were talking earlier in the show about getting use of land in Australia is difficult, as it is all over the world, and you brought up the point about how in Europe they use different tyres, man. Do you want to just tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a firm. Well, I think it's going to have to go that way. Is, use homologated tyres like they do in the World Championship.
Yeah,
and just to purely not do so much damage to the ground. Because it's probably not. I know when I spoke to you about it, Victoria, it seems harder and harder to get these tracks, and down here in Tassie, it's starting to tighten up a little bit. It's a lot more private use, sort of a private ownership of properties that we can use. We need to make sure that we can keep using them for the future, and also I don't like the way the tracks ride with these motocross tyres. You get big holes, and in the middle of the corner it gets blown out because they just dig in.
It's incredible nowadays, man. Like, it's incredible, isn't it? And
if everyone's running the same similar tyres, the tracks will stay better, and it's pretty level pegging too. There's no real advantage or disadvantage at all, I believe.
Yeah.
So from a racing point, it doesn't really change. Basically all the guys at motocross now are running a sand paddle just to get off the line.
Yeah, which is crazy, isn't it, man? Yeah. It's crazy.
It's horrible everywhere else. I'm sure the tyres are getting better and better, but I remember back in the day, a sand tyre was like, it's really good in a straight line, and then it wasn't that good on the corners. So
yeah, it blows me away. The way a track would get torn up when most of the field in an enduro were on KDX 200s and big bore XR 250s and RMX 250s and stuff like that. Like the amount that a track would get torn up then compared to now, man, like your modern 4-strokes. And then also back in those days, man, there was a much smaller amount of riders that were really fast. Whereas now, they're all fast, man. Like, clubmen are fast, man. And they're also, the bikes are so powerful, man. It just the way a Vic off-road track gets torn up by the end of it is incredible, man. So, I can certainly see where you're coming from, man. Yeah. The only thing I could think of that is a negative is if maybe sponsorship of some tyre brands and that sort of thing. I'm not sure how all that would work, but yeah, I certainly can see what you're saying, though, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they do it in Europe.
Imagine everyone has a tyre, so they can do it for sure.
Yeah. And also, too, one bit that I like, man, is there would be a slight advantage to the people who can't afford brand new tyres all the time. So the poor kids that get a little bit of a leg up, man. Like the ones that where Dad's been making them train on worn out tyres. Would have a little bit there over the guys, because there'd be kids out there, man, who have never practiced on anything that doesn't have a sharp edge on it, man. So they'd get the shock of their life with a different thing, But anyway, man, it's an interesting point. There's all these things that have got to be thought about, especially for the likes of the Ford A and things like that. Yeah,
it's funny that you made mention about the kids that that maybe haven't ridden on brand new tyres to practice and that. Well, they're in the same boat as me because I was always too lazy and I just got pride out of riding with the worst tyres. I used to just think it was great, But in saying that, like if you ride with the Metzler tyre that's worn out, the homologated tyre, it's still a really good tyre.
Yeah,
it's got no knobs on it, but it just holds up. Like you can ride really fast on it. But some of the others, you can. You kind of wish you had a new tyre.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all my life, man, and like I've never been fast enough for it to matter too much. But then it's like I won't put a new tyre on until I won't even put a new tyre on for if I'm like I race like once a year, man, maybe twice. Just whatever I decide might be fun to do, or a mate's doing it, or whatever, moto or off road, and I might not even put it on a new tyre for that. Like, I'll usually wait till I'm going somewhere where I really love the place, and then that's when I'll shout myself some new tyres. When it's a really awesome place to ride. That's sort of where I'll put the new tyres on and it's awesome, but they don't stay new for very long though, man. So,
no.
But I've always done the rotate the tyre, and then also and then after that I'll get the blade out. I've got this special knife in my toolbox that I can cut some new fresh edges on it, and that's the thing. I'll get like 3 lives out of a rear tyre, So.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got. I could do a show on all my budget saving tips for moto, man. I've got heaps of things like that. So. I'm not as bad as I used to, but I've done that throughout my life most of the time because I've had to, man, because I couldn't afford to, and I just want to ride so much. So, there's a lot of sneaky things you can do, man, to make things last and make things a bit cheaper. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk to moto parents now and what can we do to get Johnny a bit faster and do this and do that, and you just tell them to just wear out a motorbike, just completely wear it out, just put fuel in it, change the oil, put fuel in it, and they just look at you like you're some kind of idiot, like you're holding back on the secret formula.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to spend all the, you've got to have good suspension. That's money well spent. But, the rest of it's just putting fuel in it. Yeah.
And I've heard that same thing from, man, all the best of you. You all say the same thing, man. Like, I remember Chucky saying the same thing. He's just like, it's hours on the bike. That's it. Just put hours on the bike. That's the main thing. And then there's some other tips after that, but just hours on the bike. So that's it. It can be a tough one to do. If kids don't have a place to ride a lot. So that can be a tough thing depending on where they live and that sort of thing. Sometimes they got to wait for mum and dad to take them somewhere. So that can be tough on some kids, but that's part of it. I know, a lot of the kids that I know that went on to be really good. That's because, especially off road, Dad had them riding just constantly every weekend, trying to keep up with Dad, and then eventually they're faster than Dad, and then that's sort of all the good ones. Just putting in heaps and heaps of hours on the bike.
Yeah, you can't replace it. It's sort of. Yeah, and like you said, it's not an easy sport to, if you want to succeed, you have to do all them hours and do all the things. So, there's no point even saying it's any different than that. That's just what it is.
Yeah, man, yeah. I don't even know.
Enjoy your riding.
Yeah, that's it, man. I got a bee in my bonnet there a couple of years ago about I wanted to try and do the old boys class in the Vicks, and I trained heaps and that sort of thing, and honestly, man, the biggest I only did one round, man, and then I sort of added up what it cost, and I was like, nah. And plus, I didn't do as good as I thought I was going to do either. So, so I got a bit disheartened, but it was mostly the cost. And that was, and the cost was all the training costs of bike maintenance, because I was just smashing out hours and hours on the bike to be fit and ready, and just constantly wearing the bike out. That was the biggest expense. The race weekend was the cheaper bit. It's all that all the wear and tear on the bike that was the most expensive bit, and it was the most work as well. Like you're working hard, putting in your laps and putting in your hours, and then you've got to constantly then get home and then work on the bike to get the bike. I was like, I'm too old for all this, and I'm no good anyway. So I did one Vic round and sort of thought, that's cool. I've at least done one of them. So they're really no different to a good club round, it was cool to say that I had done one, man. That was one of the rounds at Chucky's place there, and of course he was home and he dug an apple pit for it. So I cleared the apple pit twice though, so that was which was a bit of a highlight. Yeah,
I reckon it would have been.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, though, man, you got to wash your bike well after an apple pit. Must be all the acid from the apples or something. Man, it stained the shit out of alloy, and it's pretty corrosive. I suppose it is, man. It's cider. Basically, you're riding through a bunch of cold cider. So it actually is amazing how much it stained the aluminium on my bike. Yeah.
Pete would have been careful. They wouldn't have been brand new apples either. So
no, they were. They definitely weren't brand new. No, they were a bunch. They had a bunch. I think one of the reasons why they did it, I think, is because they had a bunch of ones that were no good or whatever. And Chucky dug a big hole and they filled it up with apples, and then they filled it up with water. So it was a bit of fun. The crowd loved it. That's it. He's done that a few times out there, so that was funny, man. Cool. What else have I got for you here? I've got a bit of a list here. Oh, dude, the off-road academy, your training, dude. Are you still doing any of that? You did a little bit of that at one stage. Is that still a sort of a going thing, or not anymore?
It really should be. Life's been busy, so we started it, and haven't followed it up. But I really should, because I think I've got a lot to teach, and I do enjoy it. I've been like I said earlier, I've been doing my apprenticeship and working, and I don't get a lot of satisfaction out of that, but I do get a lot of satisfaction out of coaching these kids and coaching anyone really, because I've got a lot to teach and a lot of experience. So it's probably the only thing that I'm really a bit of a subject matter expert on. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, certainly got a lot to teach, man. Yeah, and it sounds like you enjoy it, man. Just listening to you speak about it now, sounds like you enjoy teaching the kids or teaching anyone. Yeah, and I always enjoyed getting coached as well. That was that's probably the bit. That's how I was able to take so much from it, because it was it was something I look forward to all the time. It's like, I'm going to get coached, and you always come out better. And later on, there are people that help you out in the industry too a little bit. You know what I mean? Like when you're coming through the ranks, you got your Lee Hogans and these kind of guys. Your Eve Konsky, he helped me out too. I did a training school with him, and then ended up riding with the factory little Honda effort with them. So it all paid off. They were good connections for us, over the years. So coaching was something I do enjoy. Cool, man. Any bucket list races that you still got that you want to that you'd like to get back to? Ooh, I don't know. I really do enjoy the World Championship, so maybe just try and squeeze one of them in, one last hurrah, just for a bit of fun. Which one would you do? Which one would you want to do? Well, it'd have to be in Italy, I reckon. Yeah. That's where the big crowd and everyone turns up. So that'd be the and Catherine, she loves Italy as well, and we could have some coffee together and reminisce some old times, maybe a little bit of prosecco and some seafood or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. There'd be good tucker in Italy, that's for sure. I don't reckon you could get a better place in the world to eat, that's for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, everyone likes Italian food. Yeah.
Wonderful people.
Yeah, cool, man. Cool. Dude, a bit of a funny question, man. Hey, what do you laugh at that you shouldn't laugh at, man? Everyone's got something that they lose their shit, and it's like, oh fuck, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but you can't help it. What is it for you, man?
I don't know. I've got a real sarcastic, sort of dry sense of humour, and anything that shouldn't be said, I like that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm the same, man. My sense of humour is fucking terrible, man. To me, like if it's put the right way, and it's said not through a place of being mean or cruel, but just said from a place of humour, everything is funny, man. Like everything is funny, So. Yeah,
there's really nothing off the table. So
no, there's not. Like you get a guy that probably my favorite. Dave Chappelle's probably my favorite. I've got a lot of favorites, but he's probably my favorite. Dave Chappelle, like he could say anything. He's that funny. He could say anything at all about any subject, and he could get a laugh out of it. So yeah, I'm hopeless. I'm even hopeless, even in a dirt bike sense, man. Like I'm terrible, like at laughing at. I'll laugh at. If my mates crash, like that's the funniest thing ever, and I it's fine if they laugh at me too. I can remember people looking at me like I'm a psycho because I've got a mate who's sort of rolling around and he kind of looks like he's hurt, but I'm already laughing. I'll start laughing and then I'll sort of like, oh fuck, you all right? But then my initial thing is to just laugh, especially if it was a funny crash, With especially, and the better the mate, the more I'll laugh, So
yeah,
it's great, that sort of stuff. Yeah. Can't get enough of it. Yeah, cool, man. Cool. All right, dude. I reckon I've taken up enough of your time, man. I reckon Mrs. Phillips is probably saying, geez, buddy, this guy's taking you away from baby duty too long. And all that sort of thing. So we might wind this up, man. Dude, the last thing I do on the show, man. I don't know if you've watched any of the shows or heard about my outro, man. But my outro to the show is me. It's me singing a little bit of Kenny Rogers. And I always say, if you know the words to Kenny Rogers the Gambler, you're more than welcome to join in, man. But there's never any pressure because most people don't like singing on a podcast. But there's a funny backstory to it, and it's not that serious, and I'm not that good, but it's just what I do for the outro music, man. So I might just ease into a little bit of Kenny, and then we'll sign off the show.
All right, I probably won't join you, but appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries, man. Righto. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Matty Phillips, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. Really good to talk to you, and we'd love to have you on the show again at some stage, man.
No, thank you. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up again. I'll come over and see our mutual friend Scrivo, and I'll bump into the studio and we'll do it from there. That'd be awesome.
That would be, man. Absolutely, man. Yeah. All right. Cheers, man. I'll let you go, and we'll talk again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, man. Bye.